So yeah, I think WrestleMania 38 is already gonna suck. Now, granted, I was a big fan of Stone Cold Steve Austin, back in his heyday in the late '90s and the early 2000s. I think his last match was 2002, 2003, something like that. So this isn't set in stone yet. They're still at the negotiating table deciding what Austin's role is going to be at WrestleMania 38. And if he just shows up to for a cameo appearance to do like a segment or whatever where he talks about his time in WWE or he talks about whatever's going on and then Kevin Owens is supposed to be the one involved in what's going on over there. If he comes down, he's like, "Oh, Austin, your day's come and gone. Why are you here? This is my show now." Blah blah blah. He stuns him, cracks open beers, and the crowd goes wild and all that shit. If they do something like that, then okay, you know what? That's fine. It's WrestleMania. You want to bring your A-listers to the fold, and we haven't seen Austin at a WrestleMania in a hot minute. So you know what? Okay, if that's the case, fine. But if we're doing this thing where it's supposed to be Kevin Owens v Austin in a match, I see this going one of two ways. So I think the match would be between maybe 5 to 8 minutes. Now Austin's yeah, he's 57. You can see there on the screen. He's 57 years old. Dude hasn't wrestled a match since WrestleMania 19 in 2003. So yeah, that's pretty close. Um, and yeah, he's 57 years old. I don't know what his physical condition is, if he's been maintaining himself. Obviously, the match between him and Owens, it's not going to be like how he was back in his heyday. It's not going to be a good 20 to 30-minute match, which if they somehow pull that off and make it good, then by all means, I will, kindly sing my praises to them, defying my expectations, which my expectations for this pretty low. And my expectations for WrestleMania 38 are pretty low as well. Granted, they do have a month and like 2 weeks to get the show suited up, ready to go. Although, given the participants that we got going on here, not looking so good. So the two ways I see this going is like I said, they'll go for like 5 to 8 minutes, and you'll either have Austin win clean. Owens will probably get the upper hand, then Austin will come in with the sneakeroo stunner, pin him 1, 2, 3, and then celebrate, have some beers, and then maybe he'll pretend to celebrate with Owens and then stun him again, and then celebration goes wild. Or Owens decides to bring out a steel chair, hits Austin in the back, gets DQ'd, attempts to beat Austin, and Austin makes a comeback, stuns him, and then we have the same celebration. I see those being the two possible outcomes with this. But at the end of the day, I don't care. I'm not going to watch WrestleMania. But I do feel like this is reinforcing the point that I made in the previous video where I said basically I'm done watching WWE, and that's because of the participants going on here. Now, let me move over to Elimination Chamber, which is coming up, I believe, this weekend. Yeah, it's this weekend. So, you got Lashley, Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Austin Theory, Riddle, and AJ Styles for the WWE Championship. If I had to take a gander, I think Lashley will win. My cat's going crazy. Becky Lynch v. Lita. Becky Lynch is clearly winning that one. Be it DQ or clean, doesn't matter. But Becky Lynch is definitely walking out the champion of that one. Which, Lynch v. Lita, okay. Okay. The Usos, the Usos v. Viking Raiders. I couldn't care less, but I'm pretty sure the Usos are going to win. Reigns versus Goldberg or Oldberg. Do I even have to fucking spell it out? This is supposed to be Goldberg's last match as well. It's in Saudi Arabia. So, yeah, I think Goldberg is going to lose. I'm so tired of Goldberg. That dude just needs to retire already. Drew McIntyre v. Madcap Moss. I don't care. Now, the elimination for the Raw Women's Championship. I see it going to either Liv Morgan or Alexa Bliss with Rhea Ripley as my fallback if it's not the two of them. I don't think it'll be Bianca Belair, unfortunately. I do wish it would be. Doudrop and Nikki Ash, just no. Just no. No, 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 no. First off, Nikki needs a better gimmick, and Doudrop needs to change her name back to, what was her name? Piper Niven or something like that. Like, get rid of that. Doudrop is such a stupid name. I don't know why she's rolling with it, especially since it's the name fucking Eva Marie gave her before Doudrop backstabbed her. Which, by the way, you kind of fucked up that face run too, because like when she turned on Eva Marie, I was like, oh, okay, so she's going her own way and all that stuff. Oh no, turn her heel, because reasons. Ronda Rousey, Naomi v Charlotte and Sonya, don't care. And then Ray versus The Miz. I haven't really been following that feud all that much, so don't care. But like you see these matches, like this looks like a good in between uh, pay per view special event, whatever you want to call it, between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. Now the problem with the Royal Rumble, and that's where actually the big problem started, or well, it is the catalyst to the main problem. And oh, okay, so the big problem stems from the fact that 200 people were let go last year. They don't have any future stars they can build right now with what they've got. That's why they're relying on the Brock Lesnar's, the John Cena's, the Goldbergs, the Austins, because they don't have any big stars to build. They have to work with the ones they've got right now. And that's usually what WrestleMania, was. It was building up big stars for future endeavors going down the line. Like, you think back to, let's go back to, let's say, WrestleMania 20, when Benoit and Eddie Guerrero, competed for the respective big time championships. Eddie defended his against, who did fuck did Eddie defend against? Was it Kurt Angle? I forget. I know he won the title from Brock Lesnar. I think no, because I think Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle had a match. I'm getting my WrestleMania. Anyways, I digress. Eddie Guerrero defended the belt at WrestleMania, successfully retained it, and then Chris Benoit won it off of Triple H. You had Eddie and Benoit, celebrating at the end of the event, and that was something that I would have liked to have seen between the Hardy Boys. Have Matt and Jeff do the same thing, back in. I think they were both together in the brand back in like 2007. Like I think Jeff was WWE champion for a time, and then Matt won the ECW championship. Like you could have had the two of them celebrate. Like that would have been a good moment too, but we never got that. Sadly, I don't think we're ever gonna get it. Um, and then you fast forward to WrestleMania 21, where Batista and John Cena went over, and Batista was on fucking fire all the way up until his main run tenure ended in 2010. Like Batista maintained a freaking amazing run for the 6 years that he was a main eventer, and then John Cena. I mean, say what you will about the guy, he maintained his popularity, and yeah, he did get boring from between '07 to roughly 2011, and then 2012 rolled in, and then he kind of started being less frequently prevalent in the whole thing. But you also had 22. You had Rey Mysterio, which they did a nice homage to Eddie Guerrero, and that's the main reason why they gave it to Rey. And they weren't going to give it to fucking Chavo. But Rey was a good choice. Now giving him the World Heavyweight title, I don't know about that, but the gesture was there, and I was like, you know what, I'm okay with this. What are some others? Oh, WrestleMania 31 or WrestleMania 30, excuse me, with Daniel Bryan. He had to go up against Triple H. He beat Triple H. He actually fucked his arm up. Kayfabe fucked up his arm, and then he had to fight Randy Orton and Batista. And then lo and behold, he became, as OTR Central put it, the Breakfast Club Slayer, or rather, he beat 3 out of 4 members of Evolution, arguably the 3 strongest members of Evolution. And, that was a good moment. You had WrestleMania 31, where Seth Rollins cashed in, and granted, his title run after cashing in was not that great, but the moment itself was fantastic. And, like, you see these big moments where, like, your big time champions win, or you make new champions, in fact, which is what all of these were, because you had Benoit, you had Batista, John Cena, Rey Mysterio, Daniel Bryan. Like, you're making these new champions, and it's good, it's great. But what do we got going for us now? We got Lesnar and Lashley possibly going at it. Um, we got Roman Reigns versus Lesnar, maybe, or Reigns versus Drew McIntyre, which we've already had, and McIntyre's lost every bout that they've had. I don't see McIntyre going after Lashley. You could have, I guess, Seth Rollins v. Lashley, but I don't think anybody's clamoring for that. Rollins v. Reigns, we've seen that before. I hope we don't have Goldberg. Jesus. Yeah, that guy just needs to retire already. But then for the women's title, we're probably going to have Lynch. Who do I think Becky would be going up against? I want to say I would go for Bianca Belair. Um, but then we've got Ronda Rousey that's a factor, and I guess she's going after Charlotte. So yeah, I guess it's whoever wins this one is going to go after Becky Lynch. Because yeah, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, Charlotte Flair would be Ronda Rousey. You got Reigns versus Lesnar, so those two have already been decided. Unless Lesnar win. Well, if Lesnar went, let's see, hold on. The WWE Championship. Oh, so they might, if they do a title unification match between Reigns and Lesnar, that'll win it some points. I already know that match isn't going to be too terribly long. Or I mean, it might be long. It might be like 15 minutes or so. But at the same time though, they're not really building any new stars because let's look at who all we've got that's competing in this one. Like Liv Morgan, she's trying. We could have her be established, but my confidence in her winning at Mania, not looking so high. Rhea Ripley, she's been established. She needs to be reestablished because the booking with her has just been absolute dog shit. It's been fucking terrible. Bianca Belair was robbed of her momentum because her winning last year's WrestleMania and carrying the title all the way up to SummerSlam, it was a fairly decent run, I thought. I enjoyed it. I didn't like the way it ended with Becky basically beating her in under like 5 seconds or whatever. I thought that was dumb as hell and it was a cheap way to try and turn Becky heel. But people weren't booing because Becky did that; they were booing because the way that happened was just bullshit. Understandably, people were pissed off. I was kind of like, "What the fuck are they doing?" Like, way to make Bianca look like a pushover. I mean, granted, it's Becky, sure, but they could have done more with it. They could have saved it for something. Have if you really wanted to turn Becky heel, have her show up, congratulate Bianca, have them form sort of a friendship ish kind of deal, and then leading up to the next big pay per view event, the one that followed whichever one followed Survivor Series, SummerSlam, have that be where Becky Lynch starts to turn on Bianca and it's just like, I've been kind of studying you, figuring out where I would stand in a match against you. Like, because I've been gone for a year, I've been kind of measuring you, seeing, like, do I think I could beat her? And then she turns on Bianca and says, I know I can beat you. So I want you to, accept my challenge for the title so we can see who's the better person. And you can have it to be where Bianca and Becky. They trade back and forth. It's like it seems kind of nice and friendly at first, but then Becky kind of slips up here and there because she's still getting that ring rust off, and then she starts to kind of cheat a little, and Bianca starts to notice. It's like, what's going on, Becky? I thought we were, thought we were good. I thought we were, going to determine who's the better one, and then you have her win unclean against Bianca Belair, and that would be a good way to transition from face to heel. And Becky could say, "Oh, I didn't cheat. I'm just better. I'm smarter." And you could have had a nice rivalry go all the way up through Survivor Series. You could have had Team Becky v Team Bianca. Like you could have done it in so many fucking ways instead of just having Bianca look like a complete chump. Um, Alexa Bliss, like I used to be really high on Alexa Bliss, like when she had her first face turn and she was working with Nikki, I thought that was good stuff. When her and Bray Wyatt had their alliance, I was confused as fuck if she was supposed to be a heel, if she was supposed to be a face, if Bray was supposed to be a heel, or if he was supposed to be a face, because they were all over the damn place with what kind of shenanigans they were trying to set up. And then, of course, she had the bullshit that happened at WrestleMania that had everybody going, "The fuck did we just see?" Because you had freaking Alexa Bliss looking like one of those Baker people from Resident Evil 7 with like a bunch of black slime glooping down her fucking face. And I was just like, the fuck did I just watch? And you had Randy Orton go over Bray Wyatt, which, why? But I think by that point, I think that's when Bray and Creative were, bumping heads. So they were going to have Bray lose. And of course, by the time, I think it was in August, that's when Bray was let go. So I think the writing on the wall for Bray leaving was established about as early as then, if not earlier. But yeah, like Nikki Ash, I mean, they broke up Sanity. Like Sanity had the potential, and actually that's something they do with a lot of these tables and tag teams is they break them up for no fucking reason, and then they put these random ass teams together. Like Riddle and Randy, I thought were random at first, but they've made it work. And there's a couple of others that actually, hold on, can I see the? Well, we can do this number. I want to see what tag teams they got because again, I haven't been following the product. Oh Jesus, I forgot that he's got like a long ass career. So let's see what teams we got, shall we? Articles, WWE personnel. So we got Ziggler and Rude. They've been together for a hot minute. The Hurt Business. Who knows what's going on with them anymore? The Mysterios, which they've been kind of hinting at Dominic turning on Ray, but that hasn't happened yet. I already talked about RK Bro. Street Profits have been around for a minute. Bloodline, they're not going anywhere. New Day and Viking Raiders, like they don't even have a lot of tag teams. and you have, and then you look at how many female wrestlers they've got, and they've got like a tag team division for them as well, and it's just like, what gives? You've basically got a skeleton crew working your tag team divisions, and your women's division isn't looking so great. Um, yeah, the tag division's looking bad. I know 205 is about to get the cut. The cruiserweight division just did not take off. Like 205 Live or whatever it's called, it just did not work. And in fact, I'm surprised they hadn't canned that already. I actually forgot that thing even existed. I thought they canned that like a little after Neville, Austin Aries, and a couple other cruiserweights like basically noped the fuck out of WWE or were let go. But yeah, I don't have much confidence going into this WrestleMania. I mean, if you have confidence going into it, if these are the people you want to see, get the shine, the spotlight, and whatnot, then hey, I hope you enjoy it. But me, no, this just reinforces my point of saying like, yeah, WWE, until you get some better people, or not better people, until you get some new blood pumped into the system, until you start building new stars instead of bringing in like your Brock Lesnar's, your the Rocks, your Stone Colds, your Goldbergs, your John Cena's. It's like we've seen them, been there, done that. If we want to see like a new up and comer go over them, that's one thing, but that's not what we're getting here. We're getting Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Reigns has already established himself as a dominant badass as the tribal chief. We get it. He's been champion for almost 2 years now. Brock Lesnar, we know he's a dominant badass, and if anybody can overcome him, they automatically get kudos and points to their name, provided they do it clean. Because obviously Lashley didn't go over Lesnar clean because the Usos interfered. Charlotte Flair, that's a whole bag of that's a whole can of worms you could open in of itself with Charlotte Flair, just because of how shoehorned she is and everything. Ronda Rousey, I've got nothing against Ronda Rousey, and when she came back, I was excited. But the second I saw that she had entered into the Royal Rumble, I was like, she's gonna win it. And yeah, they made a couple of their main stars look like chumps in that Royal Rumble match. It was from the word of mouth I've heard from a lot of people was that it was only better than the men's Royal Rumble, which I have heard nothing good about. And apparently, a lot of that had to do with Shane McMahon, which is why he was let go. So it is what it is with that shit. But yeah, like normally I'm excited for WrestleMania this year. No, in fact, the last time I was excited for a pay per view event might have been last year's WrestleMania. But like the way everything went down with that WrestleMania, well, not everything, but the way with some things went down in that WrestleMania, it just left a bitter taste in my mouth. I'm like, no, SummerSlam didn't help. Survivor Series sure as shit didn't help. That was the last pay per view I actually watched start to finish, and I was like, "What were the stakes again? Why is Team Raw and Team SmackDown doing this? Why are all the people on Team SmackDown just coming off of Raw from that brand draft thing, and why is the same thing happening on SmackDown? Do these people really care about brand loyalty, considering they just flip flop brands a couple weeks ago? Are they competing for spots in the Royal Rumble? No, and who fucking cares? You gotta have stakes for me to care, for anybody to care for that matter. And we don't have stakes that matter that have ramifications later on down the line, then who gives a fuck? You think what do you think people are gonna talk about when they say like Survivor Series 2021? They're gonna say how boring and pointless it was. They're not gonna talk about how great the matches were or how bad the matches were. They're just gonna say the event itself was boring and pointless. So anyways, I've rambled on. You get my point. WWE is not building future stars. They're just bringing in old names that are familiar with people because that's the only way they know how to draw ratings. They don't know how to build new stars anymore. So it's like if they're not going to invest the time into the people they bring in, why should we, the audience, invest our time into them? It's nothing on the performers. I have nothing against performers in this regard. This is all on the people running the show. It's all on booking, creative, Vince, Kevin Dunn, Pritchard, and fucking Nick Khan. And I guess Laurinaitis as well. I can't forget him. But yeah, all those fucking schnooks. Until they go away, until they get some people that actually know what the fuck they're doing, or at least give a shit about the people they bring into their company, this shit ain't going up anytime soon. I hope you all have a wonderful evening.